Welcome to 1.3 part 1. This video we're going to talk about special triangles and the trig functions of those special triangles. So to start, everyone look right here. Make sure we all remember this from our last video, SOH CAH TOA. So it'll be important to just highlight this, make sure we all understand that. What we're going to do first is draw our first special triangle. So I'll do this in blue right over here. This is going to be our first triangle. This is going to be the 45, 45, 90 triangle. And the ratios we're going to use are x, x, and x root 2. And that's true for any special triangle. And to make it easier, we're going to replace those x's with 1. Let's go ahead and write 1 in for x. So we'll use that. Now on our actual problem, let's write 45 degrees on each of these trig values. And they're going to find the actual values of each of these 6 functions. Okay, so make sure you write them in this exact order. Notice how they're lined up perfectly: sine, cosine, tan, cosecant, secant, cotan. And I'll talk a little bit about why I organized it that way. But first, let's focus on these, the sine, cosine, tan. We'll make those the easy ones. So for sine, 45, let's stand at the 45. So imagine your stick figure at the 45. This is your O, your A, and your H. So O over H is going to be 1 over root 2. We're going to rationalize that to get root 2 over 2. There's our first answer. Cosine is A over H. Once again, that is 1 over root 2. And that's root 2 over 2 again. And tan 45, that's over A, so that's just 1. That's it. Now for the other values, notice how it's cosecant, secant, cotan in that order. The reason for that order is because they're the reciprocal functions, which means I can just flip the answers I had earlier. So I'll just do the reciprocal, and the answers I get are root 2, and of course 1. And there we go. Those are the values of everything at 45 degrees. Now let's move on to the example problems here. So you'll see this in the homework. All you do is you look at our table we just made and refer to that and plug them in. So sine 45, that is root 2 over 2. Tan 45 is 1. The answer is root 2 over 2. Next one, secant pi over 4. Remember that pi over 4 is 45 degrees. So secant 45 is root 2. Cotan 45 is 1. The answer is root 2. Now let's go to the next one. The same problem except at 30 and 60 degrees. So on the side, let's draw our 30, 60, 90 triangle right there. We'll put the 60 here, the 30 here. The ratios are going to be 2x, x, and x root 3. And once again, let's just replace the x with 1 to make it easier. And to start, let's just do the 60 degrees. So I'll put 60 at every single one on the left. So we're going to figure out what these 6 things are going to be. And once again, draw our stick figure at 60, label O, A, H, and we'll do the exact same process. Sine is over H, so that's going to be root 3 over 2. First one done. Cosine 60 is going to be 1 over 2, because that's A over H. Tan 60, that's going to be O over A, which is root 3. To get the next ones, we'll just do the reciprocal. So we'll do the reciprocal. You get 2 over root 3, which is now 2 root 3 over 3. 2. And 1 over root 3, which will become root 3 over 3. Done. Now for the next part, notice how the angle is different. I'll do this in red. They want you to find the 30-degree one. So let's write 30 in for each of these. Notice how, because the angle is different, that means we got to erase this OAH we made earlier and the stickman. Our stickman is now going to be at the 30 degrees, which means root 3 is now your A, 1 is now your O, and 2 is, of course, the hypotenuse. So now we do it from this perspective. So notice how the answers are different. Sine of 30 is a half. Cosine of 30, root 3 over 2. Tangent of 30 is 1 over root 3, or root 3 over 3. Cosecant 30, now we're just going to do the reciprocal. So it's 2 over root 3, which is 2 root 3 over 3. And cotan 30 is, of course, root 3. Now let's move on to the final part. We're going to plug it in. Sine 45, just look at our chart. Sine 45 is root 2 over 2. Cosine 30, root 3 over 2. Put that together, that is root 6 over 4. Tan pi over 4, that would be 1, minus sine pi over 3 is root 3 over 2. Let's make that one fraction. 2 minus root 3 over 2. Now this next part's important. Notice how it says tan squared pi over 6. In trig, we write it that way because otherwise it looks ambiguous if you just put the square root of the pi over 6, but just know that means find tan of pi over 6 and then square that quantity. So tan pi over 6, that is root 3 over 3, so let's plug that in, quantity squared. Sine pi over 4, that's going to be root 2 over 2, we square it, and let's work it out. That would be 3 over 9, which is 1/3, plus 2 over 4, which is 1/2. 1/3 plus 1/2 is 5 over 6. Let's circle that, and we're now done. So now you're going to work on the homework problems, that's numbers 1 to 11, and I'll see you on the next video.